Part 75. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi-Sing Cao. Chapter 743. 741. The two people remembered the past and fell into memories. I didn't notice that there were others. Anyway, I caught up and met you, he Tian said. You took me in, let me live in a clean big house, and taught me the ways of the world, so I can stay together. The village is living so well. That's because you, a little girl, have a kind heart, Grandma Chi-san said. You stayed with me, gave me someone to talk to, and also took care of me. I lived a good life for a few years. Later, between you and with Yingjia's help, I found my son and I finally have no regrets in my life. In short, we are destined to be together, he Tian said. It's better to be a grandchild than a biological grandchild. Even Zhenmin is not as favored by you as me. Yes, Zhenmin often says it in front of me, Grandma Chi-san said, but she also knows that you have been with me for a long time, so she came here as soon as she graduated and wanted to fulfill her filial piety by my side. They are all good children. Grandma Chi-san and he Tian talked a lot. They hadn't seen each other for only a week, and they seemed to have endless things to talk about. Qi Zhengan and Qi Zhenmin walked around the construction site and then returned home. They didn't want to have lunch outside because the food outside was not to their liking. Back home, Qi Zhengan's eyes lit up when he saw he Tian. Sister Tian, if you knew you were coming today, I wouldn't have gone out. Qi Zhenmin smiled. Come on, there are fresh pork ribs in the kitchen, make me sweet and sour pork ribs. You little glutton, your sweet sister is here once in a while, so just let her cook. Don't you feel tired? Grandma Chi-san scolded with a smile. If you want to eat, just let the kitchen do it. It tastes good too. He Tian smiled and said, since someone likes my craftsmanship, of course I can't live up to Zhenmin's praise. Okay, I'll do it in a minute. That means your sister Tian doesn't care about you, Grandma Chi-san said. If it had been anyone else, she would have stopped coming. Just because I'm not a stranger, I'm not polite, Qi Zhenmin said. Let's go, Tian, you do it and I will learn from you. Okay, Grandma, I'll take Zhenmin to make pork ribs first. He Tian smiled and said, it's better to know how to do it than to know how to do it yourself. If you want to eat it in the future, you can make it yourself. Grandma Chi-san nodded and said, okay, you go. Qi Zhengan watched he Tian and Qi Zhenmin leave, then looked back and saw his grandmother looking at him. Qi Zhengan was stunned and lowered his head. Seeing her grandson admitting his mistake, Grandma Chi-san felt sour and waved her hand. Zhengan, are you still unable to let go? Qi Zhengan hurriedly raised his head and nodded again. Grandma, I can't let go. Hey, Grandma Chi-san smiled bitterly. Since ancient times, infatuation has been unavailable. This thing is the most hurtful thing. Tian and Yingjia are in love, and they already have a child. They are very happy. If someone gets in, it will destroy this happiness. Don't be a mean villain. Qi Zhengan nodded and said, Grandma, I have always known. You are a good boy. As long as Huo Yingjia doesn't like Tian or treats Tian badly, I will support your pursuit of Tian, but no, they are very good, Grandma Chi-san said. Some people have missed it, that is all your life. You should open your heart to like other people. I will, Grandma Qi Zhengan nodded, I'm trying. But how can it be so easy? If he could fall in love with someone else, he would have fallen in love with someone else long ago. Okay, I believe you, Grandma Chi-san said. You are still young and think love is everything in life, but you have to remember that as you grow older, you will understand that love is only a part of life and not all. Yes, I took note of it, Qi Zhengan nodded. Grandma, I want to go upstairs and change some clothes first. Okay, let's go, Grandma Chi-san said. The weather is hot, be careful of heat stroke. Qi Zhengan nodded, then went upstairs and sat quietly on the chair, silent. Through the window, he saw Huo Yingzhe playing with his two children by the lake. In his heart, Qi Zhengan was jealous of Huo Yingzhe because Huo Yingzhe got what he dreamed of but could never ask for. After changing his clothes, Qi Zhengan came down to see Huo Yingzhe. When Huo Yingzhe saw Qi Zhengan, he smiled generously and said, "Is the work going well?" "It went well," Qi Zhengan said. "I would also like to thank you for your great support." "You're welcome, that's his job," Huo Yingzhe said. "If you develop well, it's his political achievement. I'm still waiting for your company to start production soon. I can also buy a car at home. It will be much more convenient to travel without having to sneak around with my dad's old Jeep." "Haha, I will prepare a good car for you then," Qi Zhengan said with a smile, a little jealous and a little envious. He also wants to have such a lovely child. In that case, he must have such a beautiful and considerate wife. "Thank you," Huo Yingzhe said. He knew from Little Spin Turtle that this man coveted his wife. However, Huo Yingzhe also understood that Qi Zhengan was an upright man. If he wanted to destroy it, he would have done it long ago. Qi Zhengan looked at the sky for a while, without any trace, and said, "Actually, I envy you, even jealous of you." "Haha," Huo Yingzhe smiled, "I feel it." Qi Zhengan was slightly startled and said, "I have such thoughts, how can you still talk to me here in a pleasant manner?" "Of course you can," Huo Yingzhe said, "a gentleman loves a beautiful lady. You didn't get her before, which proves that you are not destined to be together. But Tian Tian and I are destined to be together since childhood, and nothing can separate us." "Are you showing off?" Qi Zhengan frowned. Shouldn't Huo Yingzhe show resentment or annoyance? Why is it different from what he imagined? "No, I'm just stating a fact," Huo Yingzhe said, confidently. "Because this is the truth, it is even more nakedly showing off." "Humph," Qi Zhengan snorted, "you are so confident." "Haha, this is not confidence, this is that I believe in Tian Tian," Huo Yingzhe said. "You are just living in your own fantasy of love. Because you can't get it, you can't forget it. In fact, you don't like Tian Tian as much as you think. If you love deeply, you will ignore everything. Reputation, status, and money are not obstacles." Qi Zhengan was slightly stunned. He couldn't bear to give up his reputation, couldn't let go of his status, and couldn't live without money. He gave up again and again, isn't it? Because he couldn't give up what he had. "Maybe you are right," Qi Zhengan sighed softly. "Sometimes I also think about this problem." The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 744. 742. Qi Zhengan's expression was a little confused. Obsession is not love. If you meet a good girl, you can open your heart and have a good relationship. Maybe you can gain an unforgettable love of your own, Huo Yingzhe encouraged, even using some spiritual thoughts. The reason why Huo Yingzhe had a good temper to persuade Qi Zhengan was, on the one hand, because he did not want He Tian Tian to be sad or embarrassed because of his bad relationship with Qi Zhengan. On the other hand, it was because he did not want to affect the cooperation and relationship between the three families. The Qi family and the Bai family need economic benefits, the Huo family needs political benefits. Since the beginning of the cooperation between the three companies, they have become inseparable. If an accident occurs, it will inevitably bring huge impact and losses to the three companies. Internally and externally, Huo Yingzhe didn't want to see such a result. Obsession is not love. Qi Zhengan murmured to himself, his eyes became more blurred, and he looked into the sky. Huo Yingzhe did not disturb Qi Zhengan's meditation. Some things must be figured out by one person. Even if Huo Yingzhe used some small means, he still needed his own will. It wasn't until Qi Zhenmin came over to ask everyone to eat that Qi Zhengan came back to his senses. When he looked at Huo Yingzhe again, his smile became more sincere. He vaguely understood why He Tian Tian liked Huo Yingzhe. Even though he was a love rival in his imagination, Qi Zhengan admired Huo Yingzhe very much. At the same time, Qi Zhengan's mood was like the weather that had just rained. He became sunny and bright. He saw the sun in the sky, white clouds, blue sky, and beautiful rainbow, instead of just seeing the sun as before, the fallen flowers and willows damaged by the rain, as well as the fallen leaves and muddy water all over the ground. Grandma Chi-san was sensitive to the fact that her grandson was different, but she couldn't figure out what was different about him. As long as her grandson can stay like this, she doesn't need to worry. After dinner, the two old men went to rest. He Tiantian and Huo Yingzhe took their children to their own rooms. After taking a nap, Qi Zhengan got up and personally sent Huo Yingzhe and He Tiantian home. I originally wanted to go to the company, but by some strange coincidence, I drove to the shop in Sanfenqiao in the south of the city. If it's not night now, will that little girl still work here? However, after getting off the car and arriving at the door of the store, I saw that bright smiling face, warmly entertaining customers. Qi Zhengan did not go in immediately, but stood at the door and observed Zhang Mengmeng carefully. He found that Zhang Mengmeng was not very similar to He Tiantian, and he even thought the few freckles on the bridge of her nose were cute. After seeing off the last guest, Zhang Mengmeng saw Qi Zhengan outside the door and was stunned for a moment. She hasn't seen Qi Zhengan for a long time. She was once lost and disappointed, but now she is calm. However, at this time, he appeared again. "Sir, what do you want to buy?" Zhang Mengmeng actually wanted to ask him what he was busy with during this time. He hadn't come to buy anything for a long time. But when the words came to his lips, he swallowed them. Because she knew that she and he had no relationship to ask these words. Qi Zhengan smiled and said, "Cheesecake, butterfly cake, red bean roll." He said 7 kinds, all weighing 1 pound. Zhang Mengmeng carefully wrote down, packed and counted money. Qi Zhengan paid the money and did not leave. Instead, he glanced at Zhang Mengmeng a few more times. Zhang Mengmeng forced herself to calm down and told herself not to panic. This time she would not be the clown who panicked first. Qi Zhengan is 10 years older than Zhang Mengmeng, has rich experience, and is a business elite. He can see Zhang Mengmeng's little thoughts at a glance. Maybe starting a relationship is not such a bad thing. He didn't know whether he calmed down or Huo Yingzhe's words made him figure it out. Anyway, he is in a good mood now and wants someone to share his good mood with. "Thank you," Qi Zhengan nodded and left. Seeing Qi Zhengan leave, Zhang Mengmeng felt a little disappointed. Still like this? What a badass. Sister Suiyu is right, they are young men from wealthy families, and all of them are love prodigals. She is a dogtail flower, so she should just find a dandelion to match her. In this way, he comforted himself. After that, Qi Zhengan came here to buy things almost every day, and Zhang Mengmeng encouraged and restrained himself in this way. Qi Zhengan felt that he had become bad, and found that he liked looking at Zhang Mengmeng's eyes that wanted to look at him but did not dare to look directly at him. He also liked the way Zhang Mengmeng pretended to be calm, and even liked the face Zhang Mengmeng made to him when he turned around to leave. Is this love? Qi Zhengan was not sure and was waiting for time to verify. Seeing Qi Zhengan in such a state made Huo Yingzhe feel relieved. Hey, Huo Yingzhe would also feel very worried if there was a gentleman who looked similar to him, who was polite and wealthy, hanging around He Tiantian all day long. It's fine now. As long as Qi Zhengan likes other women, he won't miss his sweet treasure. Even if he uses his spiritual thoughts and is punished, he won't hesitate. Huo Yingzhe and He Tiantian are very sweet. A breakup is better than a wedding. It is impossible to describe their current situation. Like paint and glue, honey is mixed with oil. On this day, Huo Yingzhe received 2 telegrams. One letter came from Lao Lian, saying that he had found several suitable houses for them and asked them to go there and see for themselves before making a decision. The other telegram was an international telegram, which was sent to He Tian. Bai Qianjiu brought some He Jingyu back, and Qi Shuliang and his wife would also come. Oh, that's great. Look at the time. Let's go to Yanjing to settle down in a house now, and then come back with Grandma and Uncle Qi's special train. See if it's too late, He Tian said hurriedly. If we can special trains, who wants to squeeze into a train? Huo Yingzhe looked at it and said, let's set off tomorrow and stay in Yanjing for 3 or 4 days. Grandma and Uncle Qi will arrive in Yanjing. I guess they still have things to discuss with some people, and they will probably stay for a few days. All in all, it's estimated to be 7 or 8 days, which is enough for us. Okay, then let's go to Yanjing, He Tian said. By the way, Grandma Wang, do you want to go with us? Seeing that there were 2 bodyguards protecting Huo Yingzhe, Grandma Wang said, since there are enough people, I won't go. It's hot and my body can't bear it. Seeing what Grandma Wang said, He Tian also nodded and said, Grandma Wang, please have a good rest at home. If you feel bored, I will take you to Grandma's place. You are about the same age, so you must have a lot to say. Okay, I'll pack my things and go find Sister Qi today. Grandma Wang liked Grandma Qi-san's temperament very much. It can be said that we felt like old friends at first sight. From the first meeting, they began to correspond with each other and had a close relationship. 2 chapters will be updated at 6 p.m., let me tell you in advance. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Qi Xing Cao. Chapter 745. 743. The trip back and forth only lasted 10 days, and He Tian didn't want Grandma Wang to travel back and forth. After all, she was getting old. Okay, I'll let Brother Yingzhe take you there in the afternoon, He Tian said, and began to pack up and bow. In the afternoon, Huo Yingzhe sent Grandma Wang to the yard by the lake to talk and embroider with Grandma Qi-san. It was much more comfortable than being with juniors like them. He Tian told Huo Yingzhe to buy more fresh meat for the family when she came back. She wanted to make more meat for her parents-in-law and put it in the refrigerator so that they would not be busy at work and have something to eat after returning home. After I packed up my things, I made a big bowl of braised pork ribs, plain cut chicken, etc. for my mother-in-law. Just warm it up a little and it's ready to eat. Seeing their daughter-in-law's arrangement being so appropriate, the couple was very moved. Even if he had a biological daughter, he would not be as filial as He Tian. Early the next morning, He Tian, Huo Yingzhe, their children, and 2 protection staff got on the train together. It was given by Secretary Guo. Even though the jeep is very broken, it's still a car. There was Zhang Aijun on the way, and Yunfan helped take care of him, so the journey went smoothly. When we arrived in Yanjing, we went directly to the Huo family's old residence. Mrs. Huo had already been waiting at home after receiving their telegram. Although I was curious about their arrival, I didn't ask. If the juniors want to speak, just speak, if they don't want to speak, just forget it. She is old and can't care so much. After settling the child, please ask Mrs. Huo to help take care of the child. He Tian and Huo Yingzhe went to see Lao Lian in the afternoon. Master Yingzhe, you're here so soon, Lao Lian was very enthusiastic. He entertained Huo Yingzhe and it was his honor to be able to help the young master. Huo Yingzhe smiled and said, Uncle Lian, don't bother me. When you get off work later, can you take us to see the house? Lian Cheng smiled and said, I'm afraid it won't work today. Those people don't live in those houses. I want to make an appointment one by one. Is that okay tomorrow? Well, okay, Huo Yingzhe said, then I'll trouble Uncle Lian. It's all a trivial matter, No trouble, Lian Cheng said, let's meet at Maohutong at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning and go directly to that house to have a look. Okay, Huo Yingja nodded, then we won't disturb Uncle Lian's work. It's working time now. Huo Yingja and He Tian couldn't stay in Lao Lian's office all the time. Master Yingja, Madam, please go slowly. Lian Cheng sent them away enthusiastically. The staff below were very curious when they saw Director Lian's good attitude. However, they did not dare to inquire about the leadership. Seeing that it was still early, He Tian and Huo Yingja went straight to the overseas Chinese store, where they bought more goods and sent them back to Nanji. When I went back in the evening, I was just in time for dinner at home. Song Chunli was very kind when she saw He Tian. She was envious when she saw the people around her getting rich, but she had no suitable projects. Tian, Yingja, come in and eat quickly, we are talking about you. Song Chunli smiled and pulled He Tian into the dining room. Although He Tian was not used to Song Chunli's enthusiasm, Song Chunli was an elder and could only endure it. Mom, Dad, eat. Huo Ruiman put her mouth around her mouth and ate by herself with a spoon. Since these two children could hold a spoon firmly and wanted to eat by themselves, He Tian let them eat by themselves. Although there will still be some food left on the side, the children have learned to eat by themselves and do not need adults to feed them. But the premise is that the food must be broken into pieces. Okay, He Tian smiled, I'm sorry, I was delayed for a while on the way and kept everyone waiting. You came just in time, we are also preparing to eat, Zhao Huan said with a smile. Seeing her mother-in-law being so enthusiastic about He Tian, she guessed what her mother-in-law was thinking. However, the mother-in-law did this for their own good, so Zhao Huan did not feel bored. Everyone, sit down. Mrs. Huo said, don't eat or sleep today. It's rare to be so happy. This kind of treatment can only be given during the Chinese New Year. Hearing what the mother-in-law said, everyone relaxed and started talking quietly while eating, creating a harmonious atmosphere. After dinner, Song Chunli wanted to talk to He Tian, but Mrs. Huo stopped her. Okay, you two, please go up with your children. It's quite tiring to take the train. If you have anything to say, we'll talk about it later. Mrs. Huo said kindly, not wanting her eldest daughter-in-law to be too eager and frighten He Tian. Thank you, Grandma. He Tian hugged the child and thanked everyone. Huo Yingja hugged Huo Ruwa, and the couple went upstairs together. After Huo Yingja and He Tian left, Mrs. Huo whispered, just take it easy, that matter can't be decided in a day or two, why are you in such a hurry? When Song Chunli saw what her mother-in-law said, she smiled and explained, Mom, I'm not anxious. Look at the Wu family, the Zheng family, and the Zhang family. Who doesn't have someone doing business outside? It's just us. At home, we only have a small amount of dead wages, but they are all outweighed by them. You, don't be anxious, things will be solved eventually. Mrs. Huo also knew a little about the situation across from her. The reason why Tian didn't open a store in Yanjing now is because she has concerns. When she is ready, she will definitely said. We are all a family, what are the worries? Song Chunli was unhappy. She thought of the Wu family's daughter-in-law who worked with her. She showed off a pair of shoes costing more than 2,000 yuan in front of her last month. She bought the latest model from abroad, and she felt stuffy. Those who were not as good as her before were all more beautiful than her. A pair of shoes, 2,000 yuan, is her 10-month salary. With so much money, if you expect a dead salary, you can only covet others. Originally, she wanted to start her own business, but her parents-in-law did not allow it, so she could only place her hopes on He Tian. Brothers still have to settle accounts clearly. Even if we open a shop, we must make it clear that we can't fall out over money. Mrs. Huo said, although we are a family, we can't take advantage of others. I didn't take advantage. I paid and I contributed, Song Chunli said, a little dissatisfied with her mother-in-law's statement. It's good if you think so, Mrs. Huo said, don't ask about this. I'll ask you in private. In case you are too eager and Tian Tian misunderstands it. Besides, Tian Tian, my grandma will be wearing glasses in a few days, so she'll probably come to our house to visit, so please be careful. I've written it down, Mom, Song Chunli said. It would be best if her mother-in-law went out, as it would be more useful than her, as an aunt. Song Chunli listened to Mrs. Huo so much because she knew that the old man and the old lady valued the big house and would look after the big house openly and secretly, so she was so relieved. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 746. 744. Zhao Huan listened without saying anything. Although this mother-in-law was not very smart, she could at least understand the situation clearly. As long as the grandparents are around, the big house can always get more resources. However, Zhao Huan also felt that this was unfair to the second wife, so she could only silently pay attention to and help Tian Tian in the future. Back in the house, Tian Tian was a little absent-minded. What's wrong? Huo Yingjia asked. Did what Auntie just said make you feel embarrassed? Tian Tian calmed down and said with a smile, it's not that it's difficult, it's that there is no way. It's not impossible to open a store in Yanjing, but I don't have enough people. Uncle Qian and Uncle Sun, they are old, have low energy, and I don't want to leave my hometown. Yeah, that's right, Huo Yingjia nodded. Wait a minute, let me see if I can find some demobilized soldiers for you. Some rural soldiers may not be assigned to good units, and some even I can only go home and work in the fields. Tian Tian nodded and said, okay, let's try our best to find them. By the way, Brother Zhang is a soldier, so maybe we can find one or two. Okay, I'll ask him too, Huo Yingjia said. Okay, let's give the child a bath quickly and go to bed early. You're too tired today. After the couple bathed their two children, they also washed and went to bed. Because something happened, Tian Tian and Huo Yingjia got up early the next morning and left their children at home again. Fortunately, Huo Ruxiang also had summer vacation and took his younger brothers and sisters to play in the yard. When Huo Yingjia and Tian Tian arrived at Maohutong, Lao Lian was already waiting there. Master, Madam, go inside, Lao Lian said. I heard that this courtyard used to belong to a county prince. Some of it was divided up. Now there are only 3 entrances. But I have visited and the houses in the courtyard are in good condition. It's just that the house is not fully furnished. Okay, it's pretty quiet here. Let's go in and have a look, Tian Tian said. She just asked someone that it would take about 20 minutes by car or 40 minutes by bicycle to get to the Huo family's old house from here. Not too far, not too close, just right. The couple followed Lao Lian into a 3-meter-wide alley. The alley was very wide, and it really looked like the grandeur of the former county prince's palace. On the way, Lao Lian introduced the family's situation. His son went abroad and lost money doing business in the United States. He urgently needed money to pay off his debts and had to sell the house. Although it sounds like there is a rush to sell, the price is not low. This yard costs 420,000 yuan, Lao Lian said, but the asking price is sky high. We can settle down and pay back the money, and I think it can be reduced a little. 420,000 is half of Tianation's savings. However, it is imperative to buy a house, no matter how expensive it is, because if you buy it now, you will not suffer in the end. That's good, let's take a look at the house first. Tian Tian was excited. She would soon have a property in Yanjing. This time we are not only looking at housing, but also looking at front houses. When we got inside, a fat old man came up to us. Lao Lian introduced, Uncle Cai, this is the buyer I found for you, Comrade Comrade Huo. Hello, come in and take a look at my yard. If you are willing, we can start negotiating the price. Uncle Cai was really in a hurry and couldn't wait to negotiate the price. These houses have been checked by Laolian at the Real Estate Bureau and they are not scammers. He Tian believed in Laolian and said, "Okay, Uncle Cai, show us. If we are satisfied, we will negotiate the price. As for the house, as long as He Tian likes it, Huo Yingjia won't say much. The most important thing is that the money to buy the house belongs to He Tian, and Huo Yingjia has no shame to express his opinion. As for the patent company he opened in Xiangjiang in the name of He Tian, it is still in a state of neither losing money nor making a profit. It brings tears to my eyes when I say it. As expected, he is not a business person, so he will try to make some good things to make money in the near future." Uncle Cai walked to the front and said, "This is the front yard, with 3 wing rooms on each side. You are a big family, and it is suitable for the chef and nanny to live in. The middle courtyard is the main courtyard, with 6 main rooms and 12 east and west wing rooms. The yard is very large. Big, you can make a garden or something like that in the future. The backyard is similar to the main courtyard, but it can be renovated. Look, this house is well kept. It's not one of those big courtyards. It's a nice house." He Tian and Huo Yingjia didn't say anything, but followed closely and watched carefully. "It's nice outside." He Tian nodded. "Can I come inside and have a look?" Of course Uncle Cai nodded. The large pieces of furniture in the house are missing. They were burned and robbed by those people. Those are all good things. But there are still some small items, which are all better mahogany. He Tian nodded. She already liked this house. It was square and square. Although it had some vicissitudes of life, it was not damaged. With a little renovation, it would be ready for move-in. "Brother Yingjia, what do you think?" He Tian asked, asking the head of the family. "Yes, you can like it," Huo Yingjia said. "In fact, this is not just 3 entrances. There is also a yard in the backyard, but there are only 3 rooms in it. The rest of the place is bare and there are some dead wooden piles. The yard should have been a garden or something in the past." Seeing that He Tian was in charge, Uncle Cai looked at He Tian with even more eager eyes and said, "You young people like flowers and plants. There is a moon gate in the backyard and an empty yard next door. You can change it to your own ideas. Want something?" He Tian's eyes lit up. There was a swimming pool. He Tian took a look around and was very satisfied. "Uncle Cai, tell us a real price. If you're satisfied, we'll make a deal." He Tian said. She was also in business and couldn't let others bid. Seeing that He Tian wanted to buy it, Uncle Cai said, "Comrade He, my son is waiting for me in the United States to sell the house and pay off the debt. Otherwise, my son will go to jail. Otherwise, I will never sell this. It's a house. Look, my house is so good. I'm eager to sell it. It's 410,000 yuan, so I'll take a 10,000 yuan discount." 410,000, He Tian frowned, "Still a little high, let's think about it again." He Tian tried it out to see if he could lower the price. "Uncle Cai, your price is a bit high," Laolian said. "Can it be cheaper?" Uncle Cai was a little anxious when he saw this, and gritted his teeth and said, "The price is 400,000 yuan. If you don't agree, I won't sell it." He Tian nodded and said, "Well, let's take a look first. After comparing, if there is nothing better than here, I will consider this place." Uncle Cai's expression was forbearing, but he was unwilling to lower the price any more. "If the price is lower than this price, my son will not be able to pass the hurdle." "Okay, you go and take a look first, Uncle Cai, but you have to hurry up. I'm in a hurry to buy a house. If someone offers the right price, I'll sell it to someone else. They are all smart people." He Tian lowered the price by looking at other people's houses, and Uncle Cai also raised the price by other buyers. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 747. 745. Lao Lian took He Tian and Huo Yingjia to see other yards. He Tian took a fancy to a yard next to the roadside. It was a road with many people coming and going, and there were residential areas around it, which was suitable for us to open a store. The other one is located near a large park, surrounded by many residential areas. It also serves as a commercial area, with shops on the first floor and restaurants and tea houses on the second floor. However, if He Tian opens a store here, these old houses will be demolished and a row of antique rooms will be rebuilt. There were 3 other courtyards, and He Tian wrote down the advantages and disadvantages of each, and of course the price. After a busy day, He Tian and Huo Yingjia invited Lao Lian to dinner and went home in the evening. Because when they left in the morning, they told Mrs. Huo not to wait for them to eat together, so they came back from eating outside. "Have you eaten?" Mrs. Huo asked. "There is still some food in the kitchen." "Grandma, I've already eaten," He Tian smiled. "I spent a day shopping outside today and ate a lot." "That's good," Mrs. Huo said. "The 2 children are playing with Ruxiang in the house. You go and wash up first, and come back to take care of the children later." "Thank you, Grandma," He Tian said, leading Huo Yingjia upstairs. Looking at He Tian's back, Mrs. Huo was thoughtful. She was even more curious about her grandson. Why did her grandson's wife go outside? After washing, take the child over and Huo Yingjia washes the child. He Tian held an abacus and looked at the address, area, house condition, price, etc. recorded in the notebook. "Brother Yingjia, I have my eye on 3 places, but with our money, we can only buy 2 of the yards," He Tian replied, and she found that she was becoming more and more greedy. Huo Yingjia smiled and asked, "Which 3 yards do you have your eye on?" "Uncle Cai's yard in Maohutong is more suitable for us in terms of size and location," He Tian replied. "If you marry me for 420,000 yuan, the old man is willing to drop 20,000 yuan at most. This house close to the street can be." The flip-top was converted into a store, with a smaller area, but the person quoted a price of 340,000, and I guess he could negotiate it down to 10,000 to 20,000. The other one has a good environment, and is close to the upper park, and the area is quite large. This one is the most expensive, 58,000 won. I have no interest in other places for now." Huo Yingjia thought for a moment and said, "In this case, we will need at least 1.3 million to buy these 3 houses." "Yes," He Tian replied, "I only have 960,000 yuan in hand, which is still a little short of that." Huo Yingjia thought about it and said, "I have 20,000 yuan here. Let's buy the 420,000 yuan and 560,000 yuan first. For the remaining one, let's pay some deposit first and pay it in 3 months for the final payment, settle on this house first." He Tian didn't hear the rest clearly, but she heard Huo Yingjia say 20,000 yuan. "Brother Yingjia, where did you get these 20,000 yuan?" He Tian asked in surprise, doubting that this was Huo Yingjia's private money. "The bonuses that were paid after the completion of last year's and this year's projects are all in the bank book and are about to be given to you, but we were in a hurry to come to Yanjing and forgot about them," Huo Yingjia explained. Grabbing the money from his travel bag, he took out a bank book. He Tian took it over without politeness, and then said, "My husband is great. When I get bonuses from now on, I will report them as soon as possible." "Okay, I'll give it all to you," Huo Yingjia said. "It just so happens that Uncle Qian's son will be coming back in a while, so I just want to ask him about the status of the company there. Logically speaking, it should have made money. If it doesn't make money, I have to think about changing partners." He Tian nodded and said, business is business, but if you don't have the ability, just replace it. But I don't think it's appropriate to give a deposit. You know, if we pay the balance after half a year, during this period, they will break the contract if they meet a buyer who offers a higher price. Even if we get double the deposit, I'm not happy either, he Tian said. What's even worse is that they sold it to someone else and ran away with our deposit. We wasted the deposit. Huo Yingzhi thought for a while and said, well, let's buy 2 yards, right? With the mortgage loan of 420,000 yuan, we can earn more than 300,000 yuan in 3 months. It's absolutely fine. Pay off these loans. He Tianation's eyes lit up, she nodded and said, that's a good thing to note. As long as we can afford to pay the interest and principal, we won't be afraid of the bank defaulting on the loan. That's it, then we have to take over Uncle Cai's house as soon as possible, he Tian said. Originally we wanted to lower the price, but we will take care of it tomorrow morning. It's 400,000. I guess he won't sell it even if it's a penny less. Huo Yingzhi smiled and said, it's okay, we can wait for a day, maybe he will come to us first. He Tian put down the order in her hand. This matter could not be rushed. The next afternoon, He Tian and Huo Yingzhi wanted to go shopping around, but heard that Lao Lian was coming. He Tian and Huo Yingzhi brought Lao Lian to a tea house and said, Uncle Lian, don't you have a meeting today? Why are you here in such a hurry? Lao Lian smiled and said, it's already finished in the morning. Uncle Cai came to see me in the afternoon. He said 390,000. If you are willing to buy it, please transfer the ownership quickly and give me the money. He Tianation's eyes lit up after hearing this, and she asked curiously, Uncle Cai wasn't holding it yesterday, why are you so anxious today? He received another telegram from his son. If he can't get the money, he will go to jail, Lao Lian said. I guess he is really short of money. I guess the price offered by others is slightly lower than this. He Tian thought for a moment and said, okay, 390,000, I'll buy it. I'll trouble Uncle Lian with the formalities tomorrow. As long as you prepare the money, everything else is simple. Old Lian smiled, okay, no more talking, I'll go pass the message to Uncle Cai. Thank you Uncle Lian for your hard work, Huo Yingzhi said, be careful on the road. Things went smoothly, all the formalities were complete, including supporting documents, house purchase contracts, etc. But it was a bit troublesome when paying. He Tianation's passbook was in a bank in Nanji, and the bank in Yanjing took 2 days to confirm before transferring the money to Uncle Cai's account. Immediately afterwards, He Tian and Huo Yingzhi bought a yard with a good environment next to the park for 530,000. After 2 transactions, everyone realized that He Tian was a rich man, so when He Tian proposed to take out a loan with one of the properties, it only took 3 days to review and pass. It seems that after the reform and opening up, it is not only the policies that are open, but also people's thoughts. For example, this loan. But this is also good, it is convenient for He Tian. Afterwards, He Tian got the roadside yard as she wished. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 748. 746. After buying the house, He Tian decided not to live in Yanjing for the time being, so she did not renovate it or open a store, waiting to renovate it next year. In a week, He Tian completed the purpose of this trip. Bai Qianjiao and Qi Shuliang came to Yanjing with their families 2 days ago. However, He Jingyu heard that He Tian bought a house, so he secretly took his wife to see it and liked it very much. However, he did not feel a sense of belonging to Yanjing and was unwilling to buy here. Tian, Do you have enough money to buy so many houses? Wang Shuping asked. If not, I'll give you some. He Tian shook her head and concealed the fact that she was applying for a loan, and did not want to accept help from her parents. Don't worry, Mom. I have enough money, He Tian said. I've made a lot of money by opening the shop. If you send me something, I want it. Don't give me money. Wang Shuping looked at her daughter, touched her hair, and touched her face, and said with relief, my daughter has finally grown up and knows how to plan her life and career. Don't worry about me when you are abroad. I will take good care of myself, He Tian said, looking at her brother He Daodu, who was playing with Huo Ruimin and Huo Ruwa not far away. Brother, you have grown up so fast. Haha, Ruwa and Ruimin are the same. When we left, they were less than 2 months old, and now they are 4 years old, Wang Shuping said. Fortunately, you often send us photos, otherwise, I would not be able to bear the separation in these years. He Tian saw that her mother was as gentle and virtuous as before. Although there were some wrinkles at the corners of her eyes, she was still so beautiful. Yes, every time I receive your letters and packages, I am the happiest. He Tian smiled. Mom has a good eye. The clothes she picked for me are very suitable for me. I like them very much. As long as you like them, Wang Shuping said. I'm afraid you don't like them. I'll buy more for you when I go back. Hearing her mother say she was going back, He Tian looked a little disappointed and asked in a low voice, then Mom, how long can you stay in China this time? 1 month, Wang Shuping said happily. Don't be unhappy, you are married and have your own life. If you live well, we don't have to worry about you. Although Wang Shuping was reluctant, she did not show any disappointment on the surface. Instead, she was optimistic and cheerful. This mood was also passed on to He Tian, making He Tian feel better. Okay, He Tian hugged her mother and acted coquettishly on her mother's shoulder. I originally wanted to visit you this summer vacation. Since you are here, I will bring the children to visit you next year. Wang Shuping smiled and said, it's convenient now. Your grandmother bought a private plane. If you want to go, just let the plane pick you up. Private planes are very high-end. That's great, He Tian said excitedly. She hasn't been on a private plane yet. The mother and daughter were chatting, and Huo Yingji outside was a little helpless. Given the nature of his work, He Tian's exit review is more stringent, and she may not pass. But now He Tian is very happy, and Huo Yingji doesn't dare to go up and pour cold water. He can only think of a way when the time comes. Bai Qianjiao and Qi Shuliang talked with people from relevant departments in Yanjing for 4 days before they finished talking about the matter and finally decided on their huge investment project this time. Everything is fine in Yanjing. They are going back to Nanji. There are still some specific issues that need to be confirmed with local units before they can start construction. At the same time, there is also a talent training plan. Grandma, I miss you. He Tian saw her grandmother come in, and hurried forward to give her a warm hug. Bai Qianjiao also hugged He Tian with both hands, patted her back, and said, very good, you didn't disappoint us. Your good life is our greatest wish. I will try my best not to disappoint you and my parents. He Tian said, seeing that you are in good health, I can also rest assured. I am in good health, don't worry, Bai Qianjiao said, live another 10 or 8 years, no problem. Grandma will definitely live 100 years, He Tian said, thinking of some health strengthening pills made by brother Yingji at home. She could give some to her grandmother. Grandma Qi-san, Grandpa Qi felt much lighter after taking 2 pills. He Tian wanted to send it to her grandmother, but thinking that these pills had to go through layers of inspections, she didn't know how many times they had been inspected before they got to her grandmother. Even if her grandmother didn't come, she would use this summer vacation to go there and deliver medicine to her grandmother. Okay, live 100 years. Bai Qianjiao smiled slightly, so that she could enjoy the blessings of her children and grandchildren for a few more years. In the past few years, Bai Qianjiao has never been happier. It would be great if I could live 100 years longer. Qi Shuliang and Annie also came over to talk with everyone. Since we are in Yanjing, we will stay one more day to visit the Huo family, which can be regarded as supporting He Tian. Bai Qianjiao went to the room and wrote a visiting card in small calligraphy, handed it to He Tian and said, Tian, this is the visiting card I wrote. You can go back and give it to your grandmother today. We will visit tomorrow. He Tian took it and said, well, I will pass it on. Grandma, when will we go back to Nanjing? Have you finished your business? Bai Qianjiao asked. I heard that you bought a house in Yanjing. He Tian nodded, yes, I think houses are cheap now, and I have some spare money, so I bought it. Maybe in the future, when you come to Yanjing to work or play, everyone can live in my house. Well, it's good to buy a house. Mr. Huo and the old lady are here. It's still one family. But if they are gone in the future, it will be two families. Then the old house of the Huo family will never be in the hands of your father-in-law, so you are outside. It's normal to buy a house. Bai Qianjiao understood. Do you have enough money? Enough, He Tian said proudly. Your granddaughter is also in business. Although she is not as good as your grandmother, she still has enough money to buy a house. Awesome, Bai Qianjiao squeezed He Tian's face. My granddaughter did not lose herself in the difficult conditions. She found her right husband, was admitted to university, gave birth to twins, became a university teacher, and opened a business. A prosperous shop. Grandma is proud of you. Making money is one aspect. Bai Qianjiao saw He Tian's solid steps step by step. The life you walk out on your own is of great significance and more stable at the same time. Originally, she was confused and even a little angry about He Tian living in a small mountain village. She felt that her granddaughter was wasting her great youth, and she once wanted to take her granddaughter abroad. However, he was rejected time and time again by his granddaughter. While Bai Qianjiao admired He Tian's courage, she also wanted to see what kind of life this granddaughter could lead. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 749. 747. At that time, Bai Qianjiao couldn't persuade her, but she was prepared in her heart. If He Tian didn't live well, she would still have her grandmother as a backup. Now her backup is useless. Thank you, Grandma. He Tian's nose was sour. She was very proud to receive the praise from her grandmother, and felt that everything she did became valuable. While He Tian was talking to her grandmother and mother, Huo Yingzhe and He Jingyu were drinking tea and chatting over there. Yingzhe, didn't I hear that you went to work before? He Jingyu asked. Did you take a leave to accompany Tian to see the house? Huo Yingzhe refilled some tea for his father-in-law and said, no, Dad. I have completed a project and have a month and a half of vacation. I can stay at home with Tian and help her do some things within my ability. Oh, a month and a half of vacation, your unit is very generous. He Jingyu was surprised. It's unreasonable to have so many vacations. He Jingyu knows domestic units very well, and rarely has such a vacation. I told Chief Engineer Sun that we have 2 major projects a year. If we complete them, we will give him a holiday. Otherwise, he will be passive and lazy. Huo Yingzhe said. Who is he working so hard for if he can't reunite with his family? Haha, that's good. He Jingyu said with a smile. Your chief engineer Sun is also an open-minded person. If it were someone else, he would have given you a hard time. Huo Yingzhe smiled and said, if you give me a hard time, I will do civilian research and I won't be away from home all day. If the civilian research unit doesn't want me, then I will do business. With my talent, it's easy to invent a small household item and I can still support my family. Huo Yingzhe is such a dead pig that is not afraid of boiling water. No holiday, no achievement. Chief Engineer Sun loves talents and concealed all these things, so Huo Yingji can live so comfortably. I don't understand your work, but I am relieved that you have such a heart, He Jingyu said with emotion. Men work hard outside and women take care of the family. This is the norm in many families. Many men think that these are what women should do, but they don't think that women also have to work, unlike in ancient times, when women didn't work, and only managed the family, took care of children, and did housework. Huo Yingji can understand Tianatian's hard work, cherish her, and know her feelings. This is Tianatian's happiness. Dad, don't worry, I will treat Tian well, Huo Yingji said. Maybe because of me, Tianatian's overseas review is very troublesome. I guess you will have to work hard to come back often in the future. He Jingyu smiled and said, it's nothing. My mother bought a private plane, so it's convenient for us to come back. It's good to have money, and it's rich. He Jingyu saw a lot in the M country, and he often felt fortunate that he went abroad in his 40s. If he was in his 20s, he would definitely not be able to resist the temptation outside. Thank you, father-in-law, for your understanding, Huo Yingji thanked him. His wife is very good, and his wife's parents are also reasonable. If there is anything, they can discuss it and there will be no conflicts. After having dinner together, Huo Yingji and He Tian were sent back to the Huo family's old house by the hotel. Mrs. Huo, Song Chunli, and Zhao Huan were chatting. When they saw He Tian replied, they all smiled and greeted He Tian. Tian, are your grandmother, parents, and brother in good health? Mrs. Huo asked. If they are free, you can invite them to your house for a simple meal. If not, I will visit your grandmother. In any case, as an elder, she couldn't help but express her feelings when her in-laws and their grandmother came. After all, she was very satisfied with He Tian. When her grandson and his granddaughter-in-law got married, they didn't hold a big wedding, and she always felt guilty towards He Tian. If the elders came, she didn't express her feelings. In the eyes of outsiders, it would be that she looked down on He Tian. Maybe He Tian didn't care, but her in-laws and her grandmother were all particular people, so they cared. He Tian took out a card similar to a printed cardboard card from her bag, handed it to Mrs. Huo with both hands, and said, Grandma, this is a post written by my grandmother to visit. Mrs. Huo was stunned. Oh, these things are popular in China now. Suddenly receiving a solemn visiting card, Mrs. Huo was filled with emotion. The grandmother of the in-laws was also an old-fashioned and particular person. Just a simple move showed her reserved and polite qualities. Okay, welcome. Mrs. Huo also took it with both hands to show her solemnity. There were some elegant magnolia flowers and a few elegant poems on the cover. Song Chunli and Zhao Huan were also very curious, and at the same time felt that He Tianatian's grandmother was really particular. Mrs. Huo opened it solemnly, and saw a few lines of beautiful hairpin flower small regular script. A faint fragrance came to her face. After thinking for a moment, she said, Your grandmother is thoughtful. This is the first time I came to visit, and my grandmother said to be more solemn. He Tian smiled. She understood the meaning of her grandmother and parents coming over. First, they wanted to visit, and second, they wanted the Huo family to know that He Tian was a woman from her mother's family and would not be bullied. Well, okay, I'll make good arrangements. Mrs. Huo said, the child is sleepy, you guys go upstairs. Good night, Grandma. He Tian smiled and carried the child upstairs. After Huo Yingji and He Tian went upstairs, Song Chunli asked in a low voice, Can I see the post? Mrs. Huo handed the post to Song Chunli and said, Take a look, the He family is indeed a family of scholars. Such a good handwriting, without decades of practice, it is impossible to write such beautiful words. After Song Chunli finished reading, Zhao Huan took it over and looked at it. Yeah, it's really well written. Zhao Huan said, I heard Ying Jun say before that Tian looks like her grandmother. When she was in the United States, she found her grandmother through her appearance. That's really a beauty. Song Chunli praised her and told the truth. Yes, Huan in our family is good looking, but compared to Tian Tian, she is a little behind. Mrs. Huo said. Huan, don't be angry, this is the truth. What's the point? Zhao Huan didn't care. Tian Tian was prettier than her, with a better face and figure. From the first time I met my second younger brother and sister, I became self-aware. It's rare that she is sweet and beautiful, and has a good temper. Mrs. Huo said. Of course, Huan also has a good temper. Zhao Huan covered her mouth and smiled and said, Grandma is good at comforting people. If it were someone else, I might be jealous, but this girl Tian Tian, no matter what she says or does, is considerate. She feels embarrassed even if she wants to be jealous. Haha, you have figured it out. Song Chunli smiled. Hey, when I was young, I was secretly jealous of your second aunt. When you were young, you didn't know how good your second uncle was to your second aunt. Compared to your father-in-law, who is busy at work every day and falls asleep as soon as he comes home without saying a word of warmth, I get angry. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 750. 748. Song Chunli's words made Mrs. Huo laugh. When you are jealous of someone else's second daughter-in-law, don't look at how kind Li Fang is to her second daughter-in-law, Mrs. Huo said. At that time, when she saw her second son and second daughter-in-law being very affectionate, she thought of her own youth. That's true, Song Chunli said with emotion. At that time, supplies were scarce, and the second brother and sister had some delicious food, so they all were sent to the second brother's work unit and she didn't eat it herself. Then the second uncle didn't notice and just ate it like this. Zhao Huan asked. At first, your second uncle ate it, but seeing that your second aunt lost weight, he was not happy. After careful questioning, I found out that he stopped eating after that and let your second aunt eat it. Song Chunli explained. Which of them is off work? In the morning, we will go to each other's work and then get off work together. Such affection makes others envious. Haha, I didn't expect that the second uncle and the second aunt could be so romantic, Zhao Huan said with a smile. Huo Yingjun was not as careful as Huo Yingjia. Yes, so, the feelings between husband and wife are mutual, Mrs. Huo said. If you care more about men, men will feel it, and they will naturally love their women more. At that time, she was loved by Mr. Huo's silly simplicity, so she agreed to spend the rest of her life with him. Tian Tian and Huo Yingjia returned to the room. After washing up, Tian Tian asked softly, Brother Yingjia, we have bought a house and will be leaving the day after tomorrow. Do you want to tell Grandma and Grandpa? Huo Yingjia thought for a moment and said, It's okay. I'll talk to my grandfather and grandmother tomorrow night. They are both reasonable people and won't have any objections. Besides, it's better to know from us than for them to know from others. Tian Tian thought for a while and nodded, then tell them that we bought a house. As for the 2 yards that are going to be turned into shops, let's not talk about it yet. She made money, but she didn't want others to know that she made so much money. Okay, Huo Yingjia nodded. Facing the Huo family, there was no need for Tian Tian to come forward. At 10 o'clock the next morning, Bai Qianjiao brought He Jingyu and his wife, He Daodu, Qi Shuliang, and Annie to the old house of the Huo family. Mrs. Huo asked her nanny to start preparations last night. Early this morning, she took her daughter-in-law and 2 granddaughter-in-law to prepare again. She was very meticulous in everything. How is the old lady? Bai Qianjiao said softly. I have been busy before, so I didn't come to visit the Huo family as soon as possible. Please forgive me. Madame Huo personally held Bai Qianjiao's hand and said, Don't call me madam. I'm a few years older than you, so I'll call you sister. You can call me sister. Then I won't be polite to my sister, Bai Qianjiao said. following Mrs. Huo to sit down in the living room. Mrs. Huo is also a well-rounded person. When greeting Bai Qianjiao, she also did not forget to greet Qi Shuliang and N. Today I heard that Bai Qianjiao and Qi Shuliang are coming to visit, and Mr. Huo, Huo Jekian, Huo Yingjun, and Huo Yingjia all have to wait at home. The women were talking in the living room. Mr. Huo took He Jingyu, Qi Shuliang and his son and grandson to the study to talk, leaving the living room to the women. After the men had left, the women talked much more enthusiastically. He Tiantian came out to greet her and said, "Mom, Aunt N, it's very hot here. Are you still used to the climate here?" "Fortunately, there is no acclimatization." Annie smiled. "The environment here is very beautiful and elegant, and it is a very good place." "Thank you," Song Chunli said, but she was very proud in her words. "Many famous people in Yanjing live here." Mrs. Huo smiled and said, "I heard Yingjun mention it before that Tiantian looks like my grandmother. It's true when I saw her today. My sister is really good looking." "Haha, a woman's appearance is important, but the most important thing is her good temper," Bai Qianjiao said with a smile. "I have a strong temper. Her sweet appearance follows me, but her temper follows her parents. They are both very gentle people. Anyway, they are all from the Bai family. The He family has good tutoring, so they have such a good Tiantian, which is an advantage for our Yingjia family," Mrs. Huo said with a smile. This was her affirmation of He Tiantian. In front of He Tianatian's mother's family, praise He Tiantian. "Where?" Bai Qianjiao said politely, "It's just that we have been abroad. If this girl Tiantian does something wrong or says something wrong, please be patient. They are all my grandson, granddaughter-in-law, and a family. It's too late to feel pain," Mrs. Huo said with a smile, "but I have been feeling guilty in my heart. When the Huo family suffered a disaster, my sister also knew about it, and I also got my sister and Kixian my nephew's help. After the Huo family got through the difficulties, they didn't arrange a big wedding for Tiantian and Yingjia. We have already held a wedding in Qijia village once, and we have no regrets. Furthermore, the Huo family was really not suitable for publicity at that time, and I knew that there was no big event. Also, with the understanding, love, and respect of my family, it's more important than others, so don't worry about it, sister," Bai Qianjiao said in a comprehensive way, showing that Tiantian was good, and also talked about the difficulties of the Huo family. After hearing these words, Mrs. Huo felt very excited, and she immediately felt superior to her eldest daughter-in-law's mother. "Thank you for your understanding, sister." Mrs. Huo smiled gently, continued talking to Bai Qianjiao, and asked some questions about foreign affairs. Although Bai Qianjiao did not grow up in China, she was taught Chinese by Mr. Bai. Mrs. Huo had attended both old and new schools. She was open-minded and could chat with Bai Qianjiao. We felt like old friends at first sight. Because they are contemporaries, they have a deeper understanding of the war-torn years than others and have different feelings. He Tiantian and her mother chatted with Annie, taking care of both. The lunch was very sumptuous. Mrs. Huo cooked some of BJ's specialties, but she was worried that they wouldn't like them, so she had some southern dishes cooked. He Tiantian also took the opportunity to show off her skills and cooked 2 dishes, Westlake vinegar fish and sweet and sour pork ribs. During the meal, there was no longer the rule of not talking during eating and sleeping, and everyone was talking and drinking, which was quite lively. After eating and drinking a cup of tea, Mrs. Huo took Bai Qianjiao around the house. Seeing that the time was almost up, Bai Qianjiao said goodbye and left. "Hey, time flies so fast. I really want to talk more," Mrs. Huo said with emotion. "By the way, sister, when will you return to Yanjing? I'm going to visit you." "This hasn't been decided yet," Bai Qianjiao smiled. "When I come back, I will send you a telegram in advance. We old sisters are eating out, so we can go out for a walk while our bodies are still strong." These words touched Mrs. Huo's heart. That's for sure, Mrs. Huo said, we have made an appointment now, see you there or not. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 751. 749. Mrs. Huo personally sent the people to the car and watched Bai Qianjiao's car leave. Grandma, it's hot outside, you'd better go back to the house quickly, he Tian reminded, stepping forward to support Mrs. Huo. Mrs. Huo smiled, patted He Tian's hand and said, oh, it's rare to have a friend you can talk to. Your grandmother is abroad. It's a pity that we can't chat together often. That knowledge, that bearing, elegant and noble. Grandma will be very happy if she knows, He Tian smiled. Grandma and parents came today, and she could clearly feel the subtle change in everyone's attitude. Mrs. Huo admired He Tian's natal family more, while Song Chunli was cautious. In Song Chunli's heart, she just wanted to build a good relationship with He Tian, and hoped that He Tian would take her to make money and get rich together in the future. When the group of people arrived at the house, Mrs. Huo was also a little sleepy, so she asked everyone to go back and rest. In the evening, when we got together, everyone was still discussing Bai Qianjiao's visit today. At the same time, Song Chunli also looked at Bai Qianjiao and the gift from Qi Shuliang. Mother, go and take a look. This sweet grandma's gift is a bit heavy. Our return gift seems to be missing, Song Chunli whispered, but her eyes were still a little excited. There was something she liked in it, a diamond watch. Mrs. Huo read the gift list carefully, and then went to see the gifts in person. She sighed and said, our family is a political family. It is true that the Bai family, He family, and Qi family are not rich. The return gift is a bit light. I will try again next time. Make up some. As for the gifts here, I'll share them. At this time, He Tian and Zhao Huan came down. Song Chunli hoped that her mother-in-law would give her the watch. Mrs. Huo also called them over and said, Tian, this is a gift from your grandmother. You choose first. He Tian was stunned and said with a smile, this is a gift from my grandmother to you and your family, not just to me. Besides, my aunt and sister-in-law are here. No matter how you choose, it won't be my turn to pick first. Although these things are expensive, her parents and grandmother would usually send them to her, so He Tian has no shortage of these things. At the same time, He Tian also noticed that her aunt was always staring at the diamond watch. She didn't want to take advantage of others and dampen her interest. When Song Chunli heard He Tian's words, she beamed with joy and said, Mom, look at so many things, it seems that everyone in our family has them, they are very good. I like this watch better, can you give it to me? In front of the grandson's wife, the eldest daughter-in-law asked for it. Mrs. Huo was not happy, but she would not prevent Song Chunli from getting off the stage in front of the juniors. She said, if you like it, take it. Tian is so polite, Huan, you can choose the same one. Zhao Huan was delighted and said, thank you, Grandma, for choosing a pearl brooch. I need a brooch for a piece of clothing. It's so beautiful. Tian, it's your turn. Mrs. Huo looked at He Tian and asked He Tian to choose. He Tian saw a pair of bracelets on it and said, Grandma, I want this pair of bracelets, they are also very beautiful. In the remaining box, which Mrs. Huo liked, was a painting by Zhang Daqian. I want to hang this painting in my room. Madame Huo was delighted. Sister Bai was such a smart person, and the gifts she gave were so popular. Mrs. Huo divided the other gifts and asked Song Chunli and Zhao Huan to give them to their men and children respectively. After dinner, everyone sat and talked in the living room as usual. Seeing that everyone was there, Huo Yingja said to Mr. Huo and Mrs. Huo, "Grandpa, Grandma, we come to Yanjing this time, on the one hand, to visit our two elders, on the other hand, because my parents asked us to come here to buy a house." "A house?" Mrs. Huo was stunned. "You're so good, what kind of house are you buying? Isn't there no place to live at home?" "Yes, I have a place to live at home, but isn't it wasteful to work outside the house?" Mr. Huo also said. He was a little dissatisfied with his second son when his grandson bought a house without telling him in advance. He Tian lowered her head and said nothing. With Huo Yingja here, there was no need for her to speak. Huo Yingja was also cunning, blaming his father-in-law and mother-in-law for everything. "It's not a waste," Huo Yingja smiled, "my father will probably return to Yanjing in a few years after finishing this term. It is more convenient to have a house in Yanjing. It's okay to come here during the New Year and holidays, but if it's for work, it's not appropriate. After all, there is still a Huo Jekian in the old house. If the second son's family also lives at home, they will inevitably see that most of the Huo family's resources are in the hands of Huo Jekian, and people who come and go should not meet too many times." Thinking of this, Mr. Huo nodded and said, "Well, your father is right to think about it." Mrs. Huo also figured out the key. The transfer was for work, not for the holidays. Furthermore, the second son already has a grandson, and if they live together again, trouble may easily arise. She is not worried about the second bedroom, she is worried about Song Chunli, the eldest daughter. When the time comes, she will see that the second bedroom is prosperous and the second bedroom is rich, and she will not look good. The second daughter-in-law is not someone to be trifled with, so she will definitely not be afraid of Song Chunli. Instead of being crowded together and making a fuss and being separated, it is better to separate the second child's family as soon as possible. In that case, although it's not a separation, we two elders can't say nothing at all. Once Mrs. Huo figured it out, she would do everything in her favor. He Tianation's natal family and the Zhang family's natal family are both in Yanjing. The second wife's family bought a house outside, and the two elders of the Huo family did not express any expression, which was too partial. Money is not about how much, but about a little thought. Song Chunli has always been thinking about the money in her parents-in-law's hands. She was unhappy when she heard that she was going to give money to the second wife. But she didn't dare to say it, because if she spoke up, she would not only offend the second wife, but also offend her parents-in-law. With her father-in-law's violent temper, he would probably say something excessive. "No need, there is enough money at home," Huo Yingja said, not wanting to get angry with the elders because of money. Seeing his grandson like this, Mr. Huo had to express his expression, saying, "Go and take down the memorial. I originally wanted to save it for your father and buy him a yard, but I didn't think about buying it now. Since you mentioned it, I will take out the memorial." "Okay, I'll get it," Mrs. Huo said, and soon she was holding a small notebook. Song Chunli wanted to snatch the memorial. Mrs. Huo took it and said with a smile, Tian, although this memorial is not much, it is also a token of my and your grandmother's love for your father-in-law and mother-in-law and you." The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 752. 750. This discount was very hot. He Tian looked at Huo Yingja and wondered whether he should take it. If Huo Yingja agreed to take it, she would take it, if he didn't, she wouldn't reach out. It all depends on what Huo Yingja wants. Huo Yingja saw his grandfather and grandmother's eyes full of hope. If they didn't take it, they would feel even more guilty. "Okay, then I'll keep it for my parents," Huo Yingja said. "After keeping it, it can make my grandparents feel better." Okay, Mr. Huo said with a smile, "Your grandmother and I are here, and you are still a family. After we leave, the first and second bedrooms will become two families. I hope you can watch and help each other. Huozhe smiled dryly and said, Father, my second brother and I are not that cold-tempered. We will naturally help each other, so don't worry about this. Yes, grandfather Huo Yingja nodded, we will unite together and deal with the outside world as one. That's good. After 100 years, I can rest assured and close my eyes, Mr. Huo said with a smile. When people get old, they hope that their children and grandchildren will live in harmony. Seeing that the old man kept talking about his affairs, Madame Huo said unhappily, well, you are in good health, so don't say such things to worry the children. By the way, Yingja, Tian, where did you buy the house? In Maohutong, it's not far from here. Tian replied that this was the first consideration when looking for a house. Okay, it's indeed not far. It will be convenient to come and go in the future. Mrs. Huo was very happy. From the location of the house, you can see the thoughts of the second son's family. It is rare to be able to consider the thoughts of elders. As an elder, what else is there to be dissatisfied about? Song Chunli's heart felt like bleeding. Maybe her expression was too obvious, and Zhao Huan couldn't stand it anymore, so she gently pulled her mother-in-law. The money belongs to the grandfather and grandmother. At the same time, the grandparents have 2 sons and 2 grandsons. They can't give everything to Da Fang. Song Chunli regained consciousness after being pulled by Zhao Huan, glared at Zhao Huan, and lowered her head. She can't make the decision in this family. Tian and Huo Yingja pretended not to see Song Chunli's expression, so they put the fold away. This was just a small episode, and it passed in a while. Under Huo Jekian's special guidance, the room became lively again. Back in the room, Tian opened the booklet and saw that there was 20,000 yuan in it. Brother Yingja, grandfather and grandmother gave us 20,000. Tian said, it's not that the Huo family has no money, it's just that the buns have meat but not wrinkles. Take it if you give it, Huo Yingja said. Buying a house is just the first step in dividing the family, and they know it in their hearts. In recent years, the Huo family's resources have only been used by the uncle, and my father has not received much. Most of my father's political achievements are the result of his own efforts, and these grandparents and uncles all know it. Oh, that's it. Tian understood that if the grandparents didn't care about their first room, they also knew that the second room wouldn't be as close to the first room. Even if they are brothers, they will not give and receive blindly. This is 20,000 yuan. Do you want to repay the loan first, or wait 3 months to repay it together? Huo Yingja asked. If you have money in hand, the deposit interest is much less than the loan interest. Grandma said the patent was in the afternoon, so we took care of the matter in the morning. Tian said, the loan of 340,000 yuan comes with a lot of interest. If you pay more principal, the interest will be less. It's not that Tian has never thought that 300,000 yuan now is worth more than 300,000 yuan 10 years from now, but she always feels that it's not good to owe money. If she can pay it back, she will never owe money. Okay, Huo Yingja agreed. He guessed that Tian would be like this. Whether she owes something to an individual or a bank, Tian doesn't want to owe anything to anyone else. Song Chunli over there tossed and turned at night and couldn't sleep. Huo Jekian was already asleep and snoring. Wake up, Song Chunli pushed her husband. If she didn't say it out loud, she wouldn't be able to sleep all night. Why are you not sleeping so late? Huo Jekian said angrily. He has a meeting tomorrow. If he doesn't sleep, how can he have energy? Stop sleeping, wake up, I have something to ask you. Song Chunli didn't want to let Huo Jekian sleep, so she pushed Huo Jekian again. Huo Jekian had no choice but to sit up, turn on the light, squint his eyes and ask, it's late at night, is there anything we can't talk about tomorrow? Zheqian, how much money did your father-in-law and mother-in-law give to Yingja? Song Chunli endured it all night, and finally couldn't help it anymore and asked the big question in her heart. Huo Jekian frowned and said, "No matter how much you give, it's all my parents' money. Why do you care about this?" Huo Jekian didn't care. The money was for his second brother's family, not for others. Why not? The second brother will be separated in the future, and he must have a place to live. The parents did not prepare a house for the second brother, and they already felt guilty. Giving the second brother some money would make them feel more comfortable. This is also done to warm the second room's heart, and the second room will continue to be close to them in the future. That's the money from the parents-in-law, and we also have a share. Song Chunli said, "It's all given to the second wife, how much will we get in the future?" Huo Jekian looked at Song Chunli unhappily and said coldly, "Don't use your Song family's petty intrigues and intrigues on our Huo family. We live in the Huo family's old house, and this will be our house from now on. Second brother, we will eventually move out. Our parents have spent more on us than my second brother over the years, so don't focus on that little money." Song Chunli was speechless for a long time due to Huo Zhe's words. "I'm not doing this for the sake of our house," Song Chunli said. "Look at other families, they are so rich, but we are just earning a dead salary, and we have to live in disgrace in the future. Does the family lack food for you or clothing for you?" Huo Jekian said, "The second brother's family has more money than ours. If your parents help the second brother, you won't be happy. Oh, you are the only one who needs it. When we are together, we are a family, when we are no longer needed, we are no longer a family." "The second wife is very rich," Song Chunli said. "Look at Yingji's wife's business. I heard that she has opened 2 stores in Nanji, which are richer than ours. Furthermore, look at Yingji's wife's grandmother. Parents, there are big companies and factories in foreign countries, how can we not give money to Yingji's wife?" Song Chunli felt that since the second Fang was rich, she should help them more. The old man and the old lady should also help the first Fang instead of giving money to the second Fang. After giving the money for the second house, wouldn't the big house be even poorer in the future? Song Chunli's idea was a bit strange, but she thought it was right.